connecting here?
I think we are.
Hello everyone, I'm here with a good friend of mine, Michelle Anderson, and obviously with Beau, and we're going to let Michelle share the story of her son who passed away last July, and kind of, you know, some things leading up to that and since then. And this is his son, her granddaughter, with us right here.
And she's not a perfect little thing
Yeah.
at all. What a cutie.
Yeah,
you.
definitely a cutie.
Yeah,
So
she is cute.
What we try and do is we really try and we're not showing this in any other light other than we're hoping to help somebody. We're hoping to help just one person.
Sure.
And your account of what's happened and the tragedy and all of that, we just love to hear whatever you feel like you want to say and how you want to say it. Please do. There's no pressure. So
and so the state that you've come from, since that where you're doing, I mean, that's overcoming a severe tragedy in your life, and that's what we want to share with people, to let them know, because everyone has all kinds of different struggles in their life that they're going through. And you know, you've went through one of the most brutal things that you can go through. I you know, obviously I've had the same thing, but your story is very much more recent than mine. So anyway.
All right, well,
thanks.
feel free to interject with anything
Sure.
or ask any questions. So, hi everyone, I'm Michelle. This might be a little surprising to some people, but we are actually sitting right out here where Morgan took his life. And sad that Navy, she came out from outside following me when I found him, and I didn't know. But we've had such an amazing experience since this happened, with all of the, I don't know how you would call it, supernatural things that have happened. So I'll just start off with that night. That night was really weird. It was the 24th of July, and there was lots of fireworks. There was the thunder and the lightning, and it was just a weird night. Mm-hmm. Anyway, he left at midnight, which was weird. I was getting Vivint installed in my house with the security cameras and everything, and the security guy that was installing it was here until like 1:45 actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was really weird.
That's quite an
installation now,
yeah.
right?
Then, yeah.
Well, I got like 6 cameras and stuff, and
Sure.
so I got the whole works. But what was interesting about it was we went down in his room to install a couple of the things, and he just kind of, I don't even know how to explain this, but he was behaving weird, but like little things kept like popping out at me. Like I saw the rifle, and I was like, wonder why that is down here, because you know, he usually would bring that back up to my room when he was done going shooting and stuff. So I had all these different little things that happened, and even prior to that day I had thoughts come through my mind, or things that would go on. I feel like my soul knew he was going to die probably about a year before he did. And this is his precious little daughter. Anyway, so he left and he went to her mom's house. They got in some big argument. He came home, and I have a lot of stuff on video. Even when he shot himself, I mean, all of that got, so the videos were not installed outside, but it caught it on the audio on the inside. So that was pretty trippy. Anyway, so he was angry. He set up 2 chairs behind him here, and he put the rifle on this chair that rocks backward, or that one, I don't know which one. And he literally stood on his tippy toes, and he pulled the trigger, and he was shooting his tattoo. I don't know why he thought that was a good idea. From what I've gathered and from what has happened after, he thought I was going to be able to hear the gunshot go off. He would, I would have heard the gun go off, and I would have got the ambulance there. But what happened actually was he fell backward into the chair, rolled forward, and he crawled all the way to the bottom of my stairs, and that's where he took his last breath finally. It was a matter of about 4 or 5 minutes. You can hear the shot, you can hear the 3 screams, and then it's quiet, and his dog was out here. And my dogs, I don't know why they didn't bark, but you can hear his dog Timmy bark one time and then howl when he died, and we didn't hear it because of the thunder, the lightning, the
so you didn't
fireworks.
think anything. You didn't think anything.
Nothing.
Was there anything significant with the tattoo?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. So the
I'm an old
tattoo
cop.
was the date of when he met Navy's mom.
Oh, okay.
So he was angry.
Right.
I won't go into the whole story, but
Sure.
they were getting divorced. They tried to get back together, then that didn't work. So
Had he ever had any situations like this where he felt like, you know, his life didn't matter much anymore, or
No.
anything like that?
No, in fact, when the cops came, my story was completely opposite of Madison. So Madison had said he was depressed all the time, he was this, he was that, and I'm over here going, he barely drank, he smoked cigarettes, that was
Right.
about the worst thing he had done.
Right.
He was happy all the time, you know, sure, people get down.
Right.
We all get down.
Right.
He had just got his first MMA fight, which was something he wanted
Oh, wow.
to do,
Awesome.
and it was scheduled for October. He worked out every single day, and so when I was looking at her like she was talking about an alien. So the cops separated us because I started to be like, wow, no, he wasn't depressed. So it's kind of weird how this all happened. So I started immediately to get messages from him after, because he really didn't intend on dying. I mean, somebody who sets up chairs to catch you when you fall after you shoot yourself, you don't do that.
So it may have been more of just, hey, I'm reaching out. This is my way of reaching out to everybody, which is too bad. Which we know that to be true, where people will attempt to take their life, and if they're not successful and they're able to communicate about it, they'll say, the second I did whatever I did,
I realized there was
I
another
realized
way.
you've got this beautiful daughter, you've got mom, you got, you're not getting along with the girlfriend or wife or whatever it is, but there's always something to it.
Yeah. So that's the main thing that I want people to know is, well, there's actually a couple, but if you have a friend or if you have a family member, they may not have intended to die. They may have not actually thought it all the way through to the end.
Right.
Where Morgan didn't think it all the way through. Sure, yeah, he shot himself. But there are many people that actually do that and live through it. Like, there's a guy in Lehigh that you see, and he's got half his face gone from shooting himself in the head. And so some people will freak out over, oh my gosh, so-and-so did this, and so-and-so, committed suicide, died by suicide. But we don't actually know what the last moments were and what their thought processes were.
Well, and we often, we spend a lot of time trying to help people realize they matter, and we don't want them to do that. But in this case, it seems as though there was a good relationship between, at least there was a communicative relationship between you and he, and he and his, he and everyone else. I guess the ultimate question is, you obviously didn't see this coming, but is there anything that you look back as to now that might have been a few little triggers, other than the day, the rifle, and that kind of stuff? That stuff is hard to, but a year prior to this, or 3 months prior, anything that hit you that he just had a plan?
No,
and that happens a lot.
This was actually an impromptu thing.
Okay.
There was no plan. I know that sounds really strange
No.
that I say that, but
No.
literally I've had over 20 people give me communications from him since he's died. And some people believe in that, some people don't. But
Right.
like, I instantly started getting communications from people. He most of the time has found them to connect
Right.
to me. My shaman that I had seen for almost an entire year, he called me up and he asked me if I wanted to come and see him. His appointments are $500 to $600
Oh yeah.
a piece.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he offered to do that appointment for me at no cost. And I came in, and it was so incredible. Like, I sit down, and I literally can't even get out my first sentence. Sorry.
Oh, you're all right.
Oh, there's
It's
Vivint
live.
calling.
It's live TV. we expect doorbells
Yeah.
and you know, all that stuff.
Well, Vivint is calling. That's really strange. That
Well,
we were talking
We
about
have
them.
intruders in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is funny. So what happened is I sit down and I instantly, my shaman asked me how I'm doing, and I tried to get out. I feel like I'm just become a zombie, and I didn't
Sure.
even get that last word out. And he looks at me and he says, "Hang on," and he tips his head to the side, like somebody was whispering in his ear. And I was like, "What is he doing?"
Yeah.
I didn't catch on, you know. And then he sat up and he says, "Morgan is here, and he wanted me to share some things with you." And one of the things that he shared was that Morgan wasn't intending to die. This is not what he had planned. Obviously, he planned on me waking up. The shaman didn't know a lot of the things that he was saying that were actual facts. He said he shot his side here. He was mad. He said if he wanted to die by suicide, and he did that. And I'm like, yeah, we didn't understand the whole chairs and all of that. So it was really interesting. There's a whole lot more to that conversation with him, and that was a pretty spiritual event for me. I went on a guided meditation, and I actually got to tell Morgan a lot of things.
Do you feel that being able to tell him those certain things has helped through this process?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, of grief and of, I guess, of acceptance in a situation like this?
So I was still really, really troubled at the time. And that was what Morgan was trying to help me understand, is the less troubled I am, the more communication he can have with me. So that helped a lot. However, I was still not getting it. It didn't happen until, and you know Ed.
Yeah.
Ed Anderson?
Conley.
Oh yeah, I know Ed. Yeah.
So we were here.
I know a lot of Eds,
I was
but
helping.
Conley's great.
I was
yeah.
helping Ed through the
Sure,
holidays
for his wife.
from his wife
Yeah.
and his sister, and
Sure.
that story. And it's funny because Morgan put us together, but
Oh.
so we were sitting there, and it was New Year's Eve, and we had Navy, and where is she, by the way? She's over there by the
She's
hammock.
at least not in the pool.
Yeah,
so
she's over by the hammock.
I'm watching that pool like a hawk.
Yeah.
Like the old
Yeah.
lifeguard I am.
Yeah. So we were sitting there, and my friend calls, and he's often calling me and giving me messages from
Right.
Morgan, and he sees him a lot. Anyway, he told me that he'd had a heart attack, and he went through surgery, and this was on Christmas, and that when you have heart surgery, they stop your heart. You
Right.
literally die.
Right.
And then they restart your heart when it's done. So he actually went over to the other side, where he was always seeing Morgan on our side, but this time he saw Morgan on his side, and he said, I'm trying not to give away too many details because a lot of people know this person. He doesn't want people to know his
Sure.
gift, but
That's fine.
so he said, you know, he was floating up above his body, and he started to freak out, and then all of a sudden he turned, and there was my son. And he said Morgan just grabbed his hand and shook his hand so hard, and I'm like, yeah, that's my Morgan. He had the strongest handshake I've ever felt. And he said, Morgan wants you to know that quiet, Terry. You don't have to cry anymore. He's okay, and he wants you to know that he's with you and his daughter always. And he worries about you, and he has me check on you all the time. And my friend put it in a way where I finally understood what happened. He called it a planned accident, and he didn't mean to die. But anyway, so there were some other things that he said, and I had given teddy bears to everyone for Christmas that were made of Morgan's clothes from Carrie Bears. Anyone wants to know about it, let me know.
Put a good word in there.
Carrie Bears, she's awesome. Anyway, he wanted to make sure to let me know that he appreciated that, because I had struggled, because there were some problems with me and Madison and Morgan's girlfriend, and I had struggled for about 4 months about making her a bear. And I finally, one day, I'm having this internal struggle, and I finally I'm like, you know what, just because they're behaving in a way doesn't mean I have to behave that way. And I gave her a teddy bear for Christmas that I had made. And it was interesting because at the last minute I had switched out the bear I was going to give her, and I gave her this other one, and it happened to be the shirt and the pants that he bought on their honeymoon. And I didn't even know that.
Oh, wow.
So as she's unwrapping it, I'm like,
well,
that was
like, if
you,
that's
Morgan.
not to be. If that's not to be.
Yeah,
wow.
That was Morgan. I was fully going to give her a different bear. So he said thank you for that and a few other things. And after that day, I've actually, you've seen the difference. I was depressed, crying all the time. I couldn't go into a store without just trauma, just everywhere. Anyway, after that, I've been able to get back into life again. I feel like, he is here always.
We are very grateful for you to share what you went through, because I think if anybody can just be a little bit more, not educated, but just have a little bit more in tune with their children or their spouse or their loved ones or whatever, that's the main thing. I mean, it doesn't, we're not always trying to say we can save everybody, but we can certainly help bring someone that's gone through it here to, and I would hope that, you seem very open about being able to tell this, but if there are people out there that you're a mom and I'm not a mom, and I think there's people out there struggling with some of their children, and and if I know you'd probably be a resource to them. That's what this whole these little shows with Dave and I are about, is connecting people that have these tragedies in their life, but somehow turn them around to help other people. And so I can't tell you how amazing a story that is, and for you to tell it, and for those I hope will see this at some given point and share it, and we could go on for 2 hours, but I guess the main thing is, what is it that you think? I know there's probably I know well enough to know there's really not a set combination, but what would you tell parents of older children, younger children, just about the possibility of someone being in that type of state, depressed, or in a nightmare, in a dark place? What would you tell them?
Look for hopelessness. That's the number one cause of suicide, and it's so hard because sometimes people don't have hopelessness, or you don't see it.
Right, they hide it well.
Yeah, that's perfect. They hide it well, but it's not something that they're just going to grow out of. Really, communication is key, and trying to get down to the root of any certain challenges that they may have. Just the communication part. Even if you feel like someone is depressed, talk to them, pick up the phone, ask them how they're doing, and then when they answer, say, okay, and how are you really doing?
Amen.
Exactly.
Amen. What great advice. I think that's awesome. You can reach Michelle on Facebook, I'm sure. She probably has a thriving mortgage business as well and all that.
Real estate, yeah.
Real estate.
Yeah.
But we really appreciate, unless you have something else.
No.
You know how we don't like to go too long.
Right.
But we like to get the information
like to share
out
the story
and share it.
so people can hear it. And the main thing is just we want to help other people, and it comes in all forms of help.
Yeah.
It could be help pulling that person out of the darkness and depression, or it can be helping someone that has lost a child, we are going to start doing the grieving parent groups, or I should say I'm going to start doing that.
Right.
I know Michelle wants to be a part of that because she's
love that.
let me know about that. So
yeah, anyone can call me. My phone number, I'll just put it out here.
Awesome.
It's 801-635-7636. And seriously, if you have questions, call me, text me, Facebook me, whatever you need to do. I'm here. I'm willing to help out, and this is what I love to do now, is help other people. Hopefully you don't go through something like this, but if you do, call me, because I have a lot of good advice, I think, that I can share on a personal level.
For sure. So the only thing I wanted to end with, and this is just kind of about the other day, and this is about people reaching out, because right after we finished on, was it Monday or Tuesday, whatever, I think it was Tuesday.
Yeah.
I got a message, and so we immediately got on a conference call with my friend and Bo and myself, and kind of talked through some things, and we will follow up next week. But that's, just letting you know, we're available. My phone number is on Facebook. You can reach me. Bo's is on everything we post, and we can be reached through Facebook Messenger. And don't be afraid to reach out to Michelle. So
many of you are in the community, the network of ours that can help one another, and there's so many people that reach out to me and just say, hey, if there's anything I can do, please let me know.
That's
so we
really our goal, is to build a community of people that can
Exactly.
help other people get through whatever struggle they might be going through. And in ending, I just want to tell everyone to have a wonderful Memorial weekend and be safe. Be safe.
Absolutely.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. See you next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Oh, I'm sorry.